Anybody, I think personally, suggesting that they thought this was coming and wasn't surprised by it this week is telling porkies. Right, to Geordie Journos. We always say we'll try and get out on locations, don't we? We've been enjoying the international game, but obviously it's been quite a newsy week on the domestic scene as well, so the Geordie Journos thought we'd go to somewhere quite poignant.
Yes.
I mean, you might recognise, if I move across, you might recognise those doorways there behind.
They're the takeover doorways in many ways.
The takeover doorways.
It's a door to a new era for Newcastle United.
It was.
And that door is closed.
Oh, I love it. I love that.
In terms of Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi.
I'm not sure I love that. I did like certain parts of Amanda and Mehrdad being at the football club.
Yeah.
I really did. I think they're two people who deserve a lot of credit for what has gone on at this football club in the last few years, but
we're in a car park, by the way.
We are. It's all right.
There's a wedding going on, so we're
going to have to move from this location, but we thought we'd give you a little taste. We thought it would look quite nice where we are, so we will move. But
it's Jesmond Dean House, in case you didn't know,
House
in Newcastle,
where Amanda Staveley, of course, came out and announced the news that Newcastle United had been taken over.
It's done.
That amazing day in October
2021.
2021.
Brilliant.
I'm glad I've got you to get these facts right. Anyway, so there's the doorway. You've got two of the Geordie Journos. There is a third Geordie Journo, if you didn't know. He hasn't been on many videos recently, as he points out to everybody in the comments. However, from Cyprus, this is Jordan Cronin's thoughts on Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi leaving the building.
Well, hello from sunny Cyprus. Now, as you've probably guessed, I am on my holidays this week, but I thought I'd give you my quick reaction to the news that Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi will be stepping down from their roles at Newcastle United and selling their 6% stake in the football club. Now, it's a bit of a shock for many, certainly judging by the reaction on social media. I don't think many people are expecting this news anytime soon. I wasn't expecting this news at this stage, hence why I wouldn't have taken a holiday if I did. But yeah, they will step down from their role, still their 6%. But I suppose if you look at it, really it isn't too much of a surprise, because even the last 12 months, Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi shares in the football club, or stake in the football club, has diluted as a result of the money that all the sports and media and PIF have put in. It's sad news. I think a lot of people will be upset to see the back of both Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi, because they've played a massive role in Newcastle United over the last 2.5, 3 years now, taking on the responsibility of running the football club when that deal was confirmed in October 2021. Now, in that time on the field, Newcastle have went from 19th in the Premier League to qualifying for the Champions League, a cup final, beating PSG. There's been a lot of highs on the pitch, and then there's, they've done a lot off the pitch as well, not just in terms of, transfer windows. The first transfer window under PIF was essentially run by Amanda Staveley, Mehrdad Ghodoussi, and look, the signs they made. They managed to get Kieran Trippier, Bruno Guimaraes, Dan Burn, some important figures in there. Yeah, away from the field, of course, you've got the transfer windows, just the day-to-day run of the club. You've then got the training ground, which I think, a £10 million in investment to get that up to scratch, because it was previously very, very poor standard, not even up to championship standard in many ways. So that you got the ball rolling on that, and even the little wins, if you like, the Shearer statue being moved on the actual St James's Park land. You then had 9 Bar moving back to Shearer's Bar, its rightful name, and of course there's been plenty of other things as well, little wins, if you like, around St James's Park, just improving St James's Park, and even cleaning the windows, for example. And it's all these little wins, but it helped restore a better feeling for the football club, because 14 years on the night, actually this club was, this club supporters were fed up, really fed up, and they lost that feeling of hope, belief, and Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi, through persistence, restored that. And I say persistence there, not many people will forget that Amanda Staveley fought hard to get this club night. Actually, I think it was took 3 takeover bids to eventually get Newcastle to sell. Amanda Staveley took a lot of knockbacks alongside Mehrdad Ghodoussi, but they still kept going, and as I say, their persistence paid off, and yeah, they got the football club and they've restored a feel-good factor around it, and I think because of that, a lot of Newcastle fans will view those 2 figures there as heroes, if not legends, for what they have done. From an emotional point of view, I think a lot of fans will be sad to see the back of Amanda and Mehrdad, but Newcastle, as I say, are on a journey, and it's up to others now to take this club forward and take it to the top, which is where it wants to be.
Right, that was Jordan's thoughts. Well, he's sunning it.
Yes, it's poured down here.
It has.
Jordan would be pleased to know. A well-timed holiday from him.
Yeah, so we're obviously still here at Jesmond Dean House. We just moved to somewhere we think is a little bit more quiet. We'll try. We hope it is. As a sort of,
it's a bit more polite for the wedding guests. We're not stood in the way, ruining what is a special day. But yeah, wedding's going on here at Newcastle United. It almost feels like a bit of a divorce of sorts. Did
you not get invited for the speeches? I'm doing mine in half an hour. No, yeah, it's as you mentioned, there's feelings of matrimony around this part, but it's the opposite at Newcastle United, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a shame, but I feel like we always knew from an early stage that this day was coming. Whether it would be when it was, I was personally surprised by the news that it happened this week, but I always felt like this day was coming at some point.
So I think that's interesting to say that it was always the plan that they would not stay forever and they would step aside. However, anybody, I think personally, suggesting that they thought this was coming and wasn't surprised by it this week is telling porkies. It wasn't really something that sounded like it was necessarily on the agenda now. So I think that's something that I want to get out there first, that I'm like you, it did catch me by surprise this week. But when I got the news, it was like, right, yeah. I understand it, but I didn't think it was coming now.
Yeah.
Look, I think for me, I mean, Jordan's talked about it in that video there. Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi, this current version of Newcastle United doesn't exist without their drive, their belief, their tenacity, the want to get this deal through. They hit 1,000,001 obstacles. But even go back, roll it right back to the very start, and they only came to the table because of Rafa Benitez and his team. Owen Brown was the man who drove this deal. He was involved with Amanda and Mehrdad with the Liverpool takeover and brought them across to see that game, and they were captivated by that Hosselu goal. The Liverpool day, they were captivated that day by it. Even Newcastle United didn't know they were going to be there.
Bitten by the bug.
Yes, and they were bitten by the bug, and that's where it all started. So I'm talking about Amanda and Mehrdad being, they did a lot of the almost, I see, if you see PIF as almost the bricks and mortar of what this deal is at the moment, the architects were Owen Brown and Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi, because they were the people who drove this to Saudi Arabia, got the deal on the table of the deal makers over there and pushed, and even when hit with, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, it stayed. I remember anybody who's a regular watcher of what I've been doing over the years, I got really good information that day when the takeover first died, that it was still on. They got to me and said, tell everybody we're still here and it's still going to happen. And I went on TalkSport that evening and I was teed up to talk about why it died. And my first thing that I said was, but it's not actually dead. I've got to get this message out to Newcastle fans, it's not dead. Nobody believed it. But it had come from the horse's mouth, and it was what they wanted to get across to everybody, because they weren't about to give up on Newcastle United, which brings us on to this, which is why I'm not 100% certain on why they've left. And I think a lot of people think the same. I don't think they wanted to give up on Newcastle United. That's my opinion, knowing how they were, how they are.
How they spoke as well.
Yes.
It was all, they wanted to see something tangible of all the hard work. And something tangible, can you class that as qualifying for the Champions League, reaching a Carabao Cup final?
No.
A little bit, but not really. Not really. And
you don't bring the biggest investment fund on the planet to get to a cup final.
Yes, no.
You bring them to win trophies.
No. And I think the way Amanda Staveley was speaking should always say, not just winning a Carabao Cup, winning everything. That's how she spoke about Newcastle United. And very ambitious, and I think they would have wanted to stay at least to see Newcastle win something. And I think in that respect, it's a shame that won't come to fruition.
No, I think it is a real shame. I think there's a few things to maybe think about and discuss when you talk about the exit, and that's one of them. That whose exit was it really? Was there an element of force to it? Was there a walking out? I don't think it is the second one. I think for all of the positivity that they brought to the football club, there is some things that maybe need a bit more scrutiny. And I think the little bit more scrutiny they were going, and this isn't a negative video, because like I say, I've got nothing but positive things to say about those people. They are have been influential, some of the most influential people in the modern history of Newcastle United, and will be held in that regard forever, in my opinion. No matter what goes, even if things fail from now on in, they open the door.
They've left a positive legacy.
They gave the chance and the opportunity for us to enjoy what we're seeing at the moment, and hopefully believe that there can be more, and they believe there can be more.
Yeah.
But
I think without them, I'll still be covering Hartlepool. I'm just saying the way it came,
possibly
things like that. So
without them, I might be covering Hartlepool
back in Scotland.
No, I think that they can't be without scrutiny though, and my opinion on the last 6 months at Newcastle United isn't great, in fairness. That's not talking about the on-field stuff. The on-field stuff you have to separate from the off-field stuff, in my opinion. So I'm not talking about it's because injuries, because this. No, I'm not talking about on-field. It's the off-the-field stuff that I think it goes back a little bit further than 6 months. In some ways, there's certain things that have happened in the past as well that you're like, that's questionable, and I think that scrutiny's fair.
Yeah.
The most recent one is the Dan Ashworth appointment. Not even going on the PSR, I think that's another one. And there's been decisions further back that have had
ticketing stuff.
Ticketing's left questions.
Pointing the finger at them is probably the wrong thing to do. There's CEOs at the football club, financial advisors, commercial people who are paid money to make those decisions. So, but as the club, as a collective, yes, there's been missteps.
The power dynamic. The power dynamic has always been a conversation private that we've always had among the Geordie journals and other journalists as well, is where does that power lie, and who's got allies here and there. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on that, but I think, look, let's be honest, in many ways I believe Eddie Howe might have lost allies in that boardroom. And that's not to say he's now under pressure or whatever, but it brings an accountability that I do think there was a sentimentality and emotion about the way that Amanda and Mehrdad did business. Very successful business people, and clearly very successful at what they do. But it links with the idea of loyalty and sticking with people through thick and thin, allowing them huge amounts of control over the direction of the whole football club, rather than just little things that should be in the power of people. So I'm maybe skirting around the edges here, but I think you kind of know what I'm talking about. So I think there is positives and negatives. With any positives, you've always got to look at where did things not work, if you're going to say that they did work. And for me, they worked in the fact that they brought positivity, belief. They just injected a can-do. Like, I think the way that Amanda in particular commands herself, it's just that this is going to happen and this is why it's going to happen. It's not it might happen.
We're naturally cynical as Geordies, and she it's almost
very different.
It was an attitude adjustment, wasn't it? And it brought some positivity back as well. It was like, we're never going to win this. It's all doom and gloom. And she's like, no, we're going to. And it did bring spirits up, I think, that attitude she had. And the way she conveyed her passion for the club, she got involved with everything, communicated with fans. Ghodoussi, Jamie Rubin had even included that, Staveley, all on social media, engaging with supporters. I think there's a lot to be said for that. It's modern football ownership in some ways, but it's a completely refreshing from what we've known previously. It's a complete different sort of ownership, and I think it's positive for that, the way they've communicated and dealt with supporters in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it's positive. I just think it's, again, the scrutiny comes down is, are they the right people for the job? And I think that's ultimately where things are going. Have they got enough money to help take this football club forward? Are they fulfilling roles that can be filled by other people and are already being filled by other people? Yeah. It's just a genuine, things move and things change, and for all that, it's a sentimentality from me that it's like, I loved having Amanda as the figurehead of this football club. I think she stands tall. She was in those Premier League meetings giving it back straight away. When you had Lee Charnley in there, who was nodding away and not really getting involved, but then you have someone like Amanda go in there and just sweep it through and say, no, this is what we are, this is why we've done it, and this is what we're going to do, and we're not going to stand with you. We're going to propose this, and I like that. I think she's a really. It's a shame that the project misses a figurehead now. It doesn't have that Amanda to stand up and be, the name of it.
Yeah.
Does it need it? Does it need a figurehead? Does Man City have a figurehead? Not really. It's got the overall owner who doesn't really do anything, does he?
No.
So I don't know. I don't know if it needs it, but it felt comforting knowing that Amanda was at the helm. I thought.
Yeah. It made it more palatable in the general view of those are the owners, because PIF are almost faceless in a lot of ways. There's Alvin Mayan, of course, but it's almost like a faceless entity of just money, really, isn't it? So,
and there's no way that he is going to run the football club, even though he's the chairman.
Yeah,
he's going to be delegating that task to people who probably are already in position and others who may well come into position.
He's chairman of a lot of things.
He is, and a lot of things much bigger than Newcastle United.
Yeah. That's the thing people need to realise. Football clubs, business-wise, are actually not that big.
No.
Some of them are, like your Real Madrid, your
Manchester United, yeah.
Like, we're talking about turnover of, what, $500 million? Whereas Alvin Mayan will be used to companies, subsidiary companies of PIF, things like that, turning over 10 times that.
He probably dropped Newcastle's PSR deficit out his back pocket, wouldn't he? Such is the money.
That's the frustration, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
well, it is ultimately the frustration. I think that's another thing that we need to discuss. I don't think Jordan touched upon that. Is the new, not only the power dynamic within the football club, but at the power end. So it sounds like PIF are going to take on the slack of that 5.7%.
Yes. Which, I mean, Jordan's touched on it. It did get reduced to initially 10 and then 6, then 5.7 earlier this year. So, yeah, it's slowly been.
That can be seen as a good thing, because too often the PIF have been seen as a silent partner in this takeover, in my opinion. They haven't really been very much involved, particularly in appointments and things like that. There's been, obviously, the managerial one went in their favour with the Eddie Howe situation, but they didn't get Michael Emenalo through the door, which they wanted ahead of Dan Ashworth, and that's one of the things.
That's why he's in the Saudi Pro League.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big issues when you're talking about that scrutiny of what went right and what went wrong. I think the Dan Ashworth thing sticks in the throat. I think it really does, because of the manner in which it happened. That it was against what the Saudis wanted to do. It was an appointment they weren't 100% on. They went with, and he ended up being a complete something we can't say on here.
Well, the feeling was
a snake, really, wasn't he?
Can't say that. Yes. You've called him Cashworth on here as well, haven't you?
I have.
But yeah, the general feeling.
Take us to lawyers if you want.
The general.
I've got no money.
Four Rivers.
Four Rivers, right? Oh, we need to do that. Actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's a good point to name. Four Rivers. If you've got money and you need some advice, unlike
or pension,
me, or you've got a pension, which I haven't got a great pot really, to be honest. I've got plenty of years left, I hope. If you need any pension advice, investment advice, do check it out. It's always good to do a little check in on your finances from time to time. And Four Rivers, which Dom, you'll put it in this time, won't you?
Yes, I hope.
It's definitely in the bio, and if not, it'll be on the front cover. But Four Rivers Financial Planning, do check it out. There's everything you need down in the bio.
But yeah, the whole Dan Ashworth situation, it sounded like Alvin Mayan, for want of a better word, was fuming.
It does, doesn't
it? Really sort of insulted by the way Manchester United conducted themselves, the way Dan Ashworth conducted himself. Dan Ashworth comes in and, going on a tangent here, and speaks about this is a long-term project. You can't do this job short-term. And he's there, what, less than 2 years? Yeah. And he's on gardening leave and he's wanting to move. That sticks in the throat.
Well, the Paul Mitchell thing seems like a power shift, doesn't it? In very strict terms. He's not going to come in to be the man who puts a little bit of this here, a little bit of that there. He's going to be a man he's been known for getting players into clubs who for good value from places that other people aren't looking, and I think that's going to be utilised very much so at Newcastle United, which doesn't really fit with the Premier League proven, got to have played in the Premier League, got to have played for such and such. It doesn't fit that model, does it?
No.
And that doesn't sound quite the way that It's not the back. I get a feeling, and look, I'm really interested to see how this plays out. But I've got a feeling that Howe's transfer structure and Mitchell's transfer structure don't marry.
Yeah.
I don't think they marry. Don't marry. Just like they are. And we discussed on the last one, he's getting married, I've been married. I don't advise it, but crack on.
I looked at this venue actually. But
did you?
Yeah.
What, pricey?
Great place.
Fantastic
Well,
place.
yeah,
we are.
Jesmond Dean House, if you want any filming for the Geordie Journos again, we'll give you a shout out.
Jesmond Dean House, you can also have your name in the corner of Geordie Journos. If you so feel the need. Right, we're waffling. Have I covered it all? The PSR, I don't really feel like I went into detail about the reasons. PSR will be the other reason. That I feel like that all that last minute stuff was not good planning, not good management. It all turned out in the end, and that's fine. You know, all the hindsight merchants can sit here and go like, yeah, but it's fine. Well, yes, it is fine. But it wasn't fine on the Saturday night before the Sunday night. It was not fine. It was far from fine. So I don't think that is sustainable planning for a football club moving forward. And we're actually, just to tee it up, I may as well tee it up, we're going to be speaking to Kieran Maguire, a football finance expert, and he's going to be talking about the ins and the outs of PSR, the problems that Newcastle United might have going forward, if any, what the Staveley dynamic really means to the football club, and he looks at the numbers and he knows all these kind of things. So we'll talk to him about that, which will be quite interesting. But my opinion on the PSR was another bit of scrutiny that is, it needed some scrutiny. It wasn't really great, was it? And oh, I'm slipping over here. I'm ruining the place. That kind of falls in the dynamic of not only Staveley, Ghodoussi, who had the day-to-day run in the football club, but the people appointed to those positions as well. Darren Eales, Kappa, Silverstone. To a degree, and others.
Yeah, I think it obviously wasn't in the plan to get rid of Elliot Anderson, but it sounded like
no, it wasn't.
It was almost open season towards the end. That's getting into a desperate position for a ownership model and a club who presented being super cautious. We're going to do things the right way from the very start, and for the most part they have. But to get to that situation, that's
almost the thing. It's the picture they painted of themselves, and then the reality was so far removed.
Yeah.
They talked about if they'd come out at the start and went, you know what, we're going to take risks. I think everyone would have been like, I'm not sure, but you know, if you say so, and then that would have kind of been expected. What happened that weekend? But they didn't. They were like, we will be whiter than white. We will follow all the rules. We will not spend any more than we're allowed to spend. Just so happens, last summer they spent probably 60 or 70 million pound more than they should have.
Yeah.
And didn't have any plan to recoup that, other than fingers crossed we'll get through the group stages of the Champions League. Let's hope we'll have some good cup runs. You know, let's hope we're getting the Champions League again. That's not sound fine. I know football clubs live and die by that all the time. They really do.
Well, you're seeing in France at the moment, aren't you? Like they're banking on TV revenue.
Yeah.
Based on the entire club status, going bankrupt. Teams are at risk of.
Football is a terrible financial model. Who would invest in a football club? Really?
Yeah.
Especially if you're legitimate.
Yeah.
Right. Had Jordan's bit on. We've probably done 25 minutes here.
Yeah. Just on the sort of takeover side of things. Sorry, the takeover. Amanda Staveley and Mehrdad Ghodoussi. One thing I mentioned in a piece I did for the Shields Gazette, I think it's a tangent we haven't really touched on. I think the women's team will probably suffer.
Yeah, it's a big point.
I know we haven't really spoke about the women's team that much, but that was almost a pet project for Amanda Staveley, a real passion she had, and the women's team went from an entity that wasn't even part of the football club to now, less than 3 years later, playing professionally and playing in the second top division. And some of the signings they've made, like
Demi Stokes,
England international, and
got Southshire's links, but unbelievable signing.
Yeah, and bringing players from Sunderland who have historically in women's football been the bigger club. So yeah, I think it's
the thing.
It's a blow for them. because she had that personal connection with the likes of Becky Langley and the players.
Well, that's probably going to be one of her long-standing legacies, and that's going to be interesting to see how well that's upheld. There's no signs, and I've not heard anything to suggest there's going to be any less investment or any less funds put into that. We've seen specific members of staff layering up as the wedding spills out.
They don't come up here.
No, I think they will. I think they'll want to come up here. We better wrap this up. But no, I think the women's team, the legacy that she's left there, it's given girls from this region a real pathway, genuine pathway to the very top of the game. A genuine pathway to make life-changing money, and it's amazing that she's brought that for girls of this area who are involved in football. I think it's an amazing thing, and I really hope that remains. I hope there isn't a loss of focus in that department. Yes, of course, the main focus will always be the men's team. That is just life.
Business as well.
Business, but I do hope there is no loss of focus on the women's side of the game, because that is, even if everything goes wrong, that if that remains, she's had an amazing impact on sport and life in this region, because you see it taking Sunderland girls, there'll be lasses from wherever, lasses from Newcastle, everywhere, South Shields, taking girls from this area, bringing them back and just giving them a real chance of life-changing money and an opportunity to play for their club in their area at the top level of the game. It's been a really, really positive thing of this team.
Yeah, and I think in general they'll leave the club with a real positive legacy, like you say, because they can leave now. Feels like maybe the right time, maybe slightly early, mentioning the cups and things like that, but they can leave at the right time, heads held high, going, look, we made this happen. We built the foundation straight after the takeover as well, working with Eddie Howe, appointing Eddie Howe as well, and they set the club on the way to hopefully be successful. And now we can almost supercharge that. Their investment or their stake disappears and PIFs increases, and the investment can hopefully continue and Newcastle can build.
Right, before I do my speech to this wedding party, no, really. Well, I think we need to get out of this wedding party.
We're not dressed for it.
We're not dressed for it. Look, we're wearing shorts, tracksuit tops, all sorts.
Tracksuits and sambas.
You've got your tracksuit and sambas on.
Adidas.
We need to get out of here. So, right, I'll run through the T's and C's. Four Rivers, you know where it is. We're on Shots Channel 276 every Monday night. Do check it out. We upload them 48 hours later, so if you want to wait, you can. But do check it out on Shots TV. It'd be a big plus for us and for the companies that we work for if you do that. If you love the videos that we do and the insight that we give, little donation down there. Don't have to, doesn't really matter. But if you like it, if you like the stuff that we do,
it doesn't really matter. It means a lot to us.
It does mean a lot to us. I mean, it doesn't really matter as in, I don't want to force you. I don't want to feel like I'm going, oh, here's me begging bowl. It just helps, you know what I mean? It helps us to do things like this.
Pay for your legal fees when Dan Ashworth.
Yeah. So this donate to the Liam Kennedy Legal Fund. When Dan Ashworth takes us to court, you can do that down here just below the video. Like, comment, share and subscribe, of course, as ever, as you always do. Check out the community on Facebook, search Geordie Journos. Check out the community on this YouTube channel as well, where I post bits and bobs, and I'll be teasing that video. And do watch out for Saturday morning. Do you think we'll go?
Yeah, we'll try.
Saturday morning, I think we're going to go with this full-length interview with Kieran Maguire. I'll definitely be in it. You might be in it.
Which we haven't done yet, by the way, so
no.
Hopefully it all goes according to plan.
It will. Okay. Just cut this off if it doesn't.
This will be up before.
Right, cheers guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe for all your Geordie Journos content.